ramp up of operations continue in LA. And, you know, Portland, Seattle, I mean, all these sanctuary cities that refuse to work with ICE.
Tonight, the Trump administration is calling out 3 cities here in the West, promising increased immigration enforcement operations in those places. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Today, President Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, said ICE agents will be stepping up enforcement in communities the administration considers sanctuary jurisdictions. Homan named Los Angeles, Seattle, and Portland when he talked about these plans earlier today at the White House. Homan offered no specifics on when the increased immigration enforcement will begin, but he said the effort is all about public safety.
We're going to take the assets we have and move them to problem areas like sanctuary cities where we know for a fact they're releasing public safety threat, illegal aliens to the streets every day. That's where we need to send the majority of the resource, and that's where they're going.
And there is no clear definition of a sanctuary jurisdiction. The term generally, though, is applied to state and local governments that limit their cooperation with federal immigration authorities. Homan's comments today follow revelations about a plan to use a military base outside Chicago for immigration enforcement operations. The Department of Homeland Security has asked Naval Station Great Lakes for, quote, limited support in the form of facilities, infrastructure, and other logistical needs. A DHS spokesperson says no final decisions have been made on that request. Tonight, reports of immigration agents arresting firefighters on the front lines of a wildfire in Washington are sparking outrage. Images circulating online show firefighters surrounded by people wearing vests with badges. The Seattle Times reports 2 firefighters fighting the Bear Gulch fire were arrested yesterday. The Department of Homeland Security has not responded to requests to comment on the situation. Washington Senator Patty Murray weighed in on social media, writing, quote, this administration's immigration policy is fundamentally sick. Trump has wrongly detained lawful green card holders and even citizens. No one should assume this was necessary. These firefighters put their lives on the line for us all, and Trump is detaining them. Well, in Utah, the community gathered today to remember one of 2 police officers who were shot and killed in the line of duty last week. Officer Eric Estrada was killed on August 17th along with Sergeant Lee Sorensen as they both responded to a report of a domestic violence dispute. Estrada was remembered as being a loving husband, father, and son. A friend and colleague said he was a man who worked to make a difference, calling him the definition of community policing.
Thank you for being my friend, my teacher, and my confidant. I miss you. And all of us here will do everything in our power to make sure your family is taken care of. And I will spend the rest of my career trying to be half the officer that you were. Thank you.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox was among those at the service today, which was held at Utah State University in Logan. The governor said Estrada's service and sacrifice will never be forgotten. Lee Sorensen's funeral is going to be held tomorrow. Today, California Governor Gavin Newsom announced plans to expand the deployment of highway patrol officers to cities across the state, all in an effort to better address crime. As KTVU's Jenna Katsuyama reports tonight, the governor says these deployments will happen in coordination with local officials.
These operations will be targeted, they'll be data-driven, they'll be focused on the basis of intelligence gathering that's coming from different law enforcement agencies.
Governor Gavin Newsom, along with California state officials and the CHP, announced he plans to send the California Highway Patrol into more communities to assist with law enforcement. He said this is based on the success of pilot programs in the Bay Area, starting with San Francisco in 2023.
There were 6,200 citations. There were hundreds of stolen vehicles that were recovered and guns, illegal guns. Over 700 pounds of fentanyl was seized because of that operation.
Newsom said the partnership between the community, police, and CHP has continued to yield results.
There's been over 4,000 vehicles in Oakland alone, stolen vehicles that have been recovered under this operation. Illegal guns, DUIs.
I've noticed a decline in some of the crime.
Some Bay Area residents say they have seen an impact and support the idea.
I would support that, absolutely. I mean, crime in Oakland continues to be a problem, and the local police department does what they can with their resources, but to have some additional help, I think, makes a lot of sense.
I don't think that's necessarily a bad idea. I think if it helps with enforcement and makes crime a little bit better, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Traffic enforcement, yeah, because I don't believe Oakland really does much of that, but I think beyond that, it gets questionable.
The governor says the program will be expanded to Los Angeles, San Diego, the Central Valley, and Inland Empire. Oakland's Police Officers Association president says the CHP has been helpful.
It allowed us to respond to other calls faster. We have designated location where we see an increase of crime. We asked them to patrol that area.
Newsom also had a pointed jab for President Trump, saying he should send federal forces to Republican-represented states, not California.
I hope the President of the United States would look at the facts. Just look at the murder rate. That's nearly 4 times higher than California's in Louisiana. This is Speaker Johnson.
Governor Newsom did not mention the duration or the cost of these expanded deployments. We are hoping to get answers on that soon. Reporting from Oakland, Jana Katsuyama, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
We have an update for you tonight on the search for the murder suspect, Travis Decker, who's accused of killing his 3 daughters back in June in Washington state. Investigators say after combing through more than 200 acres of rugged forest near Leavenworth, they may have found several items that could be connected to the case. Authorities have not specified what those items are, but they do caution that final examination of what they found is going to take time. An Arizona state lawmaker and her daughter are accused tonight of trying to bring a box cutter to a high school this week. This all comes shortly after a student was fatally stabbed on that campus. Fox 10's Lauren Clark explains what elected officials want to see happen next.
We can now claim that this incident is at the center of a Phoenix police investigation. Now, the district said the 2 women claimed that they were trying to test out the metal detectors, but now several lawmakers are calling for their resignation.
I am outraged. I'm upset. I'm disappointed.
The scalding criticism keeps pouring in for State Representative Lydia Hernandez, the governing board president of the Cartwright Elementary School District, accused of intentionally bringing a weapon into Maryville High. The Phoenix Union High School District says it happened Monday. Lydia and her daughter, fellow Cartwright board member Cassandra Hernandez, arrived on campus. Maryville is not within the district the 2 represent, and neither have children on campus. Per the district, Cassandra went through a metal detector with a box cutter as Lydia was filming the interaction with her phone. When the box cutter was discovered, Lydia reportedly told staff she was testing the detectors. The incident happening days after a fatal stabbing at the school, as community members are asking how the alleged murder weapon, a 4-inch pocket knife, made it on campus despite the presence of metal detectors. But Maryville residents like Susanna are bothered by Hernandez's alleged actions.
In my point of view, it was disrespectful because it's too recent for what happened.
As are her fellow lawmakers and officials who are speaking out.
I honestly and strongly believe that Lydia should step down. Her and her daughter had no good intentions on doing this. This was about them. This was not about the families.
This entire charade that Lydia Hernandez put on at the school distracts from the real work that has to be done to reassure families and keep the community safe.
Superintendent of Arizona Schools Tom Horn also releasing a statement calling the action, quote, unbelievably insensitive to the trauma that was inflicted on the students, teachers, and staff of the school. These 2 board members should resign immediately.
Last night, Fox 10 was able to get Lydia Hernandez on the phone. She said everything that the Phoenix Union High School District said was, quote, lies. We tried multiple times to get her to interview and discuss a little bit more of her side of the story via phone calls, texts, and even arriving at an address that was listed. However, we did not hear back. Reporting here in Phoenix, Lauren Clark, Fox 10 News.
Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, surveillance video shows a police officer being ambushed by a man with a knife as he responds to a call. Coming up, what happened after the officer fought back.
And in weather, here's our live camera in Los Angeles. Current temperature of warm 83 degrees. A lot of clouds in Southern California today and even some rain showers. We'll have more in your forecast coming up.
Plus, Backstreet's back and bringing in Bank. TMZ will break down just how much money the band is making during their popular residency at the Sphere in Las Vegas.
Please, perfect.
Newly released video shows a man with a knife attacking a police officer in Southern California. This happened last month in Cathedral City, southeast of Palm Springs, as the officer walked up to the front door of a home. Authorities say Officer Marcus Ayala was responding to calls about a verbal dispute between family members. Police say the man holding the knife opened up the door and then attacked. Officer Ayala gained control of the man after a brief struggle. Investigators say the officer suffered a slight injury and has now fully recovered. The suspect is facing an attempted murder charge. Microsoft has fired 2 of its employees who were arrested during a sit-in protest in the office of the company's president.
When I joined this company as a software engineer 5 years ago, I never expected that my employer would have me literally dragged out of my own workplace for taking a stand for ethics and human rights.
That protest was led by a pro-Palestinian group, and as Fox 13's A.J. Janavel explains tonight, one of the group's demands was for Washington-based Microsoft to cut ties with Israel.
People's Court summons Bradford Lee Smith.
Tuesday, police say 7 protesters barricaded themselves inside the office of Microsoft President Brad Smith. The protest group, No Azure for Apartheid, say they have several demands, including Microsoft cut ties with Israel. Police arrested the 7 inside the president's office for trespassing and resisting arrest. 2 current employees were among the protesters. Microsoft fired them for breaching company policy. Less than a week before this incident, police arrested 18 people for causing chaos on the company's campus in Redmond. Video shows the group arriving outside the Microsoft sign. Microsoft said one of the protesters in this rally was a current employee. 3 others were fired from the company previously for similar conduct.
And that was Fox 13's A.J. Janavel reporting tonight. Microsoft says it's looking into allegations that the Israeli Defense Forces have used its Azure cloud computing platform to store phone call data that was obtained through the mass surveillance of Palestinians. FBI agents in New Mexico say they have broken up a multi-million-dollar online marketplace. Anyone who tried to access the Verif Tools website today found this message from federal investigators announcing their seizure of the platform. People running the site are accused of selling counterfeit driver's licenses, passports, and other identification documents. Investigators say people used the marketplace to buy counterfeit New Mexico driver's licenses using cryptocurrency. FBI agents say they have identified the equivalent of more than $6 million in illicit proceeds, all tied to that website. Tonight, there's no word on any arrests that have been made in this case. Today, Nevada Governor Joe Lombardo spoke publicly for the first time about Sunday's ransomware cyber attack on state computer systems. He announced an expansion to the 211 helpline to help residents across Nevada access state services as the state recovers from that attack. State officials confirmed the malicious actors did take data, but it's still unclear right now exactly what type of data was stolen. The governor says it's a challenge to stay secure with today's technology.
The state has done some recent upgrades into the existing hierarchical system, but as you know how fast technology moves, right? And it's very difficult for a state organization to keep up with those movements, especially the various acts.
The Nevada DMV remains closed today, and appointments will be honored as walk-ins over the next 2 weeks. Wildfires in Oregon are generating enough smoke that it's being picked up by satellites. The Flat Fire is the largest wildfire in the state. This one's burning northwest of Bend. Crews are managing to hold containment at 7% despite the return of gusty winds today. The fire has destroyed 4 homes and 8 other buildings. More than 23,000 acres have burned here, and authorities are still investigating how the fire started. A California winery says it is cooperating tonight with an investigation into the cause of the picket fire near Calistoga. A spokesman for One True Vine 100-Acre Wines says that the company representatives have spoken with fire investigators. They say there's, quote, no indication that the fire was from a controlled burn. Tonight, containment on the fire has grown to 37%. The acreage is holding steady and no homes have been damaged or destroyed by the flames. CAL FIRE says that work has been going on year-round on vegetation management in this area.
4 strategic fuel reduction projects, from goat and sheep grazing, dozer lines, strategic dozer lines that had been utilized in fire history, also roadside clearing projects.
The Napa County Agricultural Damage Assessment Survey estimates the wine business in Napa County has suffered at least $65 million in agricultural losses. 20% of wine producers report damage from fire or heat, and 80% of growers in the area report damage from smoke. Crews worked overnight to clear a mess left behind by storms moving through Nevada. Heavy rain caused a mudslide here along Interstate 80 east of Reno. Crews managed to clear that freeway just in time for the morning commute earlier today. And a little farther north from there, people at this year's Burning Man Festival has been facing some severe weather, intense rain and dust storms, creating scenes like these. For more, let's bring in KTVU's chief meteorologist Mark Tamayo, who is tracking the festival weather up in Black Rock City, up in northern Nevada, as well as the conditions across the rest of the West. Hey, Mark.
Hi there, Alex. Yeah, it has been such an active week around Burning Man, the festival, and it looks like the good news, we're going to clear things out over the next few days as they wind things up as we head into the weekend. So lots of sunshine, but you were talking about all the storm reports out there with the flooding you could see in portions of Nevada, even the Sierra, showing you all the storm reports and reports of some flooding just outside of Carson City. Here is the satellite and the radar. As we go back in time, we're going back 24 hours, as you can see. Eventually, we'll reset this here, and you'll notice all the activity over portions of Nevada on Wednesday. And the overall trend, though, completely different story today. Those storm clouds moving on out, so that's a good sign. There is some development earlier today, but still improving conditions in portions of Nevada. As far as Seattle today, showing you a few high clouds out there, 82 degrees, so a warm weather pattern up in the Pacific Northwest. The San Francisco Bay Area, San Francisco topping out 69 degrees with lots of sunshine over the bay. In Los Angeles, they had quite a few high clouds, some remnant moisture from what was once a tropical storm moving into Southern California. Los Angeles topped out still the muggy 89 degrees. And then Phoenix, 105 degrees, showing you some of those clouds out there in the distance. Showing you this, once again, the satellite and the radar. And look at all these clouds moving into portions of Southern California. Looks like the rainfall was focused closer to San Diego County and then moving up to the north and to the east. In fact, San Diego reporting about 0.06 of rainfall linked up with this activity from earlier today. As we expand the view once again, we are showing you a fairly quiet weather pattern showing up. Still some clouds moving up into portions of the Pacific Northwest. Current numbers out there, Phoenix is right now 101 degrees, Las Vegas 87, Portland, Oregon 81, and Seattle currently checking in the upper 70s. Here's the plan for tomorrow. It's a warm day in Seattle with a sun-cloud mix. It's nice in the San Francisco Bay Area, warming up for Los Angeles, the hot weather as you would expect this time of year in Phoenix. And it has been a very active day in terms of the thunderstorms out toward Denver today. There's still about a 30% chance for tomorrow. Here is the forecast models. We do put it into motion. This is your Friday morning and then into a Friday afternoon. So the storms could be firing up out toward Denver, maybe parts of New Mexico for tomorrow. But for the most part, we are expecting a quiet weather pattern from Phoenix to Los Angeles to the Bay Area and Seattle. They have that sun cloud mix and temperatures still approaching the lower 80s. So here's the forecast over the next 3 days. San Francisco could be close to 70 degrees as we do move into the weekend. Los Angeles close to 90. Talking about triple digits out toward Phoenix, 105, 108 to 110 degrees. So as we do head into the holiday weekend, parts of the West could definitely be warming up. Alex.
Yeah, could be a warm holiday weekend. Yeah. Mark, thank you. Well, it sounds like the Backstreet Boys have hit the jackpot with their hugely popular residency at the Sphere in Las Vegas. TMZ is reporting the band is pulling in about $4 million a night with their performances. The Backstreet Boys kicked off their Into the Millennium residency back in early July. I talked earlier with TMZ's Michael Babcock about why these Vegas shows are so lucrative for the band.
The reality is as opposed to a tour, they're not, having to pay to travel and pay for the hotels and all of the costs that go along with a worldwide tour. They don't have those here. They essentially, spent $7 or $8 million on a very extensive and complicated graphics package. It is the Sphere, obviously, so you need special cameras and sound. So they spent a lot of money up front on that. But after that, it's pretty much just go hit the stage and collect the money from the merch and from the ticket sales.
Yeah, because of the overwhelming demand for tickets, the Backstreet Boys recently added even more shows at the Sphere in Las Vegas into the early part of next year. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, why people will line up for an unpleasant experience at San Diego's Botanical Gardens this weekend.
People get excited about these superlative, maxi plants.
The biggest.
The biggest. Comes from Sumatra, and it's the biggest. And also, it does have this putrid smell.
Finally, tonight, San Diego's Botanical Garden expects to host a rare event this upcoming weekend. Fox 5's Jamie Chambers shows us why big crowds are expected for a not-so-pleasant experience.
Not roses, not jasmine, not hibiscus or Gerber daisies. The San Diego Botanical Gardens are rolling out something with a little more punch.
This is like the rock star plant of the plant universe, and when it flowers, people get so excited and literally come from everywhere to see this incredibly rare occurrence.
Yes, the corpse flower is on the edge of blooming. Once every 5 to 10 years, one of these Sumatran tropical giants wakes up and wakes up everybody with it.
It is the largest inflorescence in the world, so it's just the largest flower, and people get excited about these superlative, maxi plants.
The biggest.
The biggest. Comes from Sumatra, and it's the biggest. And also, it does have this putrid smell.
And that's why the lines to the San Diego Botanical Garden to experience this sleeping aromatic dumpster fire will be around the block for 2 nights only.
In this conservatory, the last time we had one of these bloom, we kept everything closed to kind of hold the smell inside, and it literally was like being punched in the face when you walked into this space.
That's why many people call this a bucket list item, because they only want to do it once. So why does it smell so bad? Novi says evolutionarily, pollinators in Sumatra also like to eat dead things.
It attracts insects, and the insects that it attracts like really nasty smells. These are dung beetles, these are carrion beetles, the kinds of insects that in tropical Indonesia are feasting on a dead animal that has been sitting in the humid sun for a while.
The corpse flower is expected to bloom as early as 2 to 3 days from now, as late as a week, maybe even a week and a half out. But once it does, it only blooms for 2 days, so you can expect lines around the block to get into the San Diego Botanical Gardens. That's the very latest. From Encinitas, I'm Jamie Chambers. Back to you in the studio.
Just amazing to see those huge crowds. So many people coming from all over to take in that awful smell of the corpse flower. All right, that does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching as always. And a quick reminder before we head out tonight, you can always stay up to date on all the stories we're covering across the West at our website. It's westcoastwrap.com. And please, we hope you'll stream all of our shows on your smart TV. All you need to do is download the free Fox Local app to do that. The sun setting over the San Francisco Bay here. What a beautiful shot. Thank you for watching. Have a great night.